A young woman came into my office not long ago. She had been trying to look after her grandfather and make sure that he was safe and doing okay as he was getting older. The problem was the grandfather had advancing dementia, so it was impossible for him to really pay his bills on time, to manage his finances, to make sure that he had enough to live on. He was not even able to remember to take medication and to keep himself safe from a healthcare perspective. So he was probably going to need long-term care at some point in the near future. But the problem is he had money in various places, retirement accounts and so forth. So there wasn't even really a way to consolidate all of that and get him eligible financially for Medicaid to pay for the care that he so dearly needed. So the worst part about it was that the grandfather never did any estate planning. So he had no financial power of attorney that would have allowed the granddaughter to stand in his shoes and deal with banks, deal with insurance companies, consolidate accounts, get him eligible for Medicaid to pay for his care. So they were in a real pickle. I'm estate planning and elder law attorney Patrick Cawley. I'm with Keystone Elder Law in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. We see this from time to time. Did you know that in the last 2 decades, deaths from heart disease have actually gone down by about 7.5%. But in that same time frame, diagnoses and deaths from Alzheimer's and other dementias have gone up by 145%. So cognitive incapacity is something people need to plan for. But if someone finds themselves in exactly that situation without a power of attorney to take care of financial matters, without any sort of assistance for healthcare decisions, well, guardianship is what you're looking at. Here's a glimpse of what guardianship looked like and how it was able to help that granddaughter do what she needed to do to take care of her grandfather. So with no power of attorney, she filed a petition through us with the court. And in Pennsylvania, it's the Orphans Court Division of your county court. So she filed a petition and she asked for the court to declare her grandfather to be incapacitated. That required putting the doctor on the witness stand to explain the medical conditions, to explain the testing that was done in the various ways they test for cognitive incapacity, and to conclude as a treating physician that this person was unable to safely manage finances or healthcare decisions. So the next thing is we had to put the granddaughter on the witness stand, and she testified that she understood the responsibility she was undertaking, and eventually the judge was able to appoint her as the guardian for the grandfather. Now the bad news for the grandfather is that takes away all of his rights. He lost the right to manage his own finances. He lost the right to decide where he lives. That was all in the hands of another person, his granddaughter. But fortunately, she was a good person who was looking out for his best interests. But it's an expensive process, and it's also invasive into privacy because now the granddaughter has to, once a year, file a very detailed report with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania explaining all of the financial decisions that she made for her grandfather, listing all the receipts, every expenditure, and also listing every time she took him to the doctor, every time she went to see him just to visit him and make sure he was doing okay. So it is a very invasive process because we have to be worried about the plight of vulnerable older people so they're not abused. So she's glad to do it, but it is a burden, all because he refused to have a power of attorney, which is a very straightforward form of estate planning. If you have any questions about guardianship and this process that you go through when a person loses the ability to handle their own affairs and what that looks like for a trusted loved one to petition for guardianship, send me an email at info@keystoneelderlaw.com or give us a call at 717-697-3223. I'll just explain whatever questions you have. I'll explain how it works and make sure that you're on the right path to make the plans that you need to make for your loved ones.